a question I just know many members of our audience and the public wonder about, and that is, how on earth did this young man with a somewhat checkered work history get access to so much stuff? I mean, you've run the agencies where he worked. Maybe you could help us to understand that part of the puzzle.
Sure. Lots of things to comment on. Let me talk about the European Award and his nomination. I must admit, in my darker moments over the past several months, I had also thought of nominating Mr. Snowden, but it was for a different list. Okay. Okay.
I can help you with that. Oh, there's cameras here too. I forgot about that.
It is inexplicable as to how someone of his background and grade would have access to so much information until you then begin to add in some of the specifics, all right? Well, one of the specifics was this wasn't someone who was there and working and suddenly offended by something he came across and thereby was motivated for some higher good. This was a sustained, long-term campaign that he had undertaken in order to take this information, and in fact had moved from job to job in order to facilitate his taking of this information, which doesn't prove, but is not inconsistent with what the chairman is saying. You know, how does one of that background have the ability to plan such a campaign? Second reality is that we have, and this is mostly a virtue, but every virtue has a dark side of vice, all right? We weren't actually that bad sharing stuff pre-9/11. We really weren't. But we really weren't good enough. And so we have spent more than a decade getting into the position where sharing was like the philosopher's stone of American intelligence, that if you could do that, you could turn lead into gold. And so he was actually responsible for the share point. He was actually responsible for pulling data in order to make it available to everyone else. Look, there wasn't anybody of my kind of background who didn't believe firmly this was going to happen. It was just because of what we were doing. We had gone from, look, I mean, we made need to know an absolute criticism of the American intelligence community for more than a decade. And it was all need to share or responsibility to provide. And like most big bureaucracies, when you swing that pendulum, you overcorrect. And we ended up over here. And now, talking about dangers now and damage, one of the potential damages is you start pushing that pendulum back too far, and we're back to where we were, where information isn't available to where we need it. Other things that describe the damage. We call these things leaks. So let me extend that metaphor. Most leaks have to do with volumes of water. All right, you've got a minor leak, it's a cup. You got a big leak, it's a bucket. This is about the plumbing, and I think that's reinforcing what the chairman said. This is about someone who's not leaking particular secrets, he's leaking how it is we gain secrets. And therefore, this is going to be the gift that's going to keep on taking from the American intelligence community over a very long period of time. Then you have the immediate impact on targets, who are now tightening up their procedures. A third great effect is, why would anyone, domestic or foreign, be willing to have confidence in the United States to take anything, to undertake anything that requires any kind of discretion, that requires any kind of secret keeping in order to go do things that are lawful, appropriate, effective, but edgy? And that applies to industry, and it applies to foreign partners. And then finally, this is more hidden, but it's something that really, really needs more commentary. And that is the psychic effect on the American intelligence community, and particularly the folks at NSA, who wake up every morning, and depending on whether they live north or south of the fort, go up onto their porch and grab the Baltimore Sun or the Washington Post and read the daily indictment. Okay? That has a tremendous impact on a workforce that is as conscientious as an American workforce will ever be. But there it is, day in and day out, and they got to explain themselves to their cousins and their aunts and uncles when they go home, because with some exceptions, this story has been hideously reported in the public press, and even worse reported on the 7 by 24 networks.